Hello, welcome back to FlowState. I hope everyone is doing well. It's been fucking raining non-stop for like 2.5 weeks and it's gorgeous. So here we go, back down to the Atlantic Ocean, hitting this vibe, getting two training sessions in today. I do consider this to be cardio and leg, considering the vert is like 200 meters plus. For sure, it's more because the technical elevation is 200 meters from the ocean, from the house, and that's just going straight up and down. So considering the road and the rock face mountain that we descend and ascend going up is definitely more. So anyways, feeling quite pumped, on track with my schedule, which always gives me a nice endorphin boost because I'm not distracted, I'm in flow and taking advantage of the moment to capture this energy, to share it with you, and to discuss some of the tools that I've implemented in achieving this as consistently as any non-perfect human could be. There's been a lot of things going on recently, mostly me choosing whether or not to go to this party that's happening on Friday, or I guess this podcast is dropping Sunday, so it'll be yesterday. And we'll see the recap the following week. I made a podcast that dropped on Sunday of me in town, walking in the rain, a little slightly distressed from making this choice and understanding in life we have opportunities that we shouldn't squander, but also understanding the costs associated with these opportunities and not being a fucking robot. Also, I feel like I've swung the pendulum pretty hard from one extreme to the other. And I'm actually very grateful that I did this extreme transformation only to get reconnected and grounded. But it's been years of the grind. And I think just like any good thing, there's too much of anything is just too fucking much. And relaxing and cutting loose and doing things that are not in alignment with your short-term and long-term goals can be of great benefit to reconnecting and constantly modifying and refining. That's a huge part of growth, I feel like, and you can get down a rabbit hole that really becomes limiting. And I think for a period of time, it's vital to do that. It's essentially like a detox, or, where you stop drinking for 30 days, whatever. Transformation takes work, takes courage, takes saying no a lot. And after you've achieved certain elements of your goals along your journey, you're going to hit plateaus. And those plateaus, after a few of them have been reached, I feel like, which is where I'm at least, just shaking things up a little bit, cutting loose, drinking more, partying a little bit more, but also feeling the cost of that and then choosing what ultimately I want out of life in the long term, how to balance business, personal, social, and intrinsic vibes within that are going to propel me forward in a way that is both structured and not feeling like a fucking robot. Some things I do every day, no matter what. Some things I at one point thought I was going to do no matter what. But then as time went on, you get bored, there's a natural ebb and flow, and you're choosing different things. And it's not about the in-moment choice as much as it is about the long-term grounding. And that's where all of the core values, I should say, that's where the work in developing your core values really propels you forward in the kind of cosmic sense, not in the, let's say, it is granular at the end of the day, but making choices that support propelling new moments of growth, I think, are far more important than getting too caught up with certain kind of like minutia details. And I'm speaking after the fact, after the years of grinding, the wanting to have a physical and mental transformation that has sustained over time. There have been periods of exceptional growth and plateau, and that's true for both physical and mental well-being. And getting really grounded with what you want in life is the catalyst to being able to say, hey, I choose this, knowing the cost that will ensue. And I'm not really talking about, I am talking about monetary costs as well, but mostly I'm talking about recovery from doing a bunch of fucking drugs and staying up all night. And it's always fun in the moment. It's fucking such a good time. And I'm in no way promoting the use of drugs or alcohol, which I have reduced dramatically my intake of all these things, because they stopped serving me in the same way that they were before. One of the factors is I've become extremely comfortable with who I am, understanding my strengths and, more importantly, weaknesses to better leverage my skill set and to be in a position that has taken me like 10 years to get to, essentially. And I feel like in many ways I'm just tapping into this power now, this potential of, ooh, man, what a funky smell. And this project is deeply correlated to that. So along this 10-year plus journey, I've leveraged tools and systems that have served me well, some that I thought were better than others, and I dropped them and modified them. And, ultimately, I think the best strategy in life for any personal development, any growth path, is creating a system in which you can live into, way more than habits. And, the system is really the kind of lifelong pursuit, the whole arc of your life. And the habits are essentially all the little things that make up the actions that are in alignment, ideally, with your systems. So it's like having a big picture, long-term view of things and allowing the process of life, which is the part that is most important, the presence of it, to be in the moment, not to be so focused on the destination, but it is truly about the ride. And if you're not enjoying the ride, the destination is not going to feel really, what's the word? It's like, you're not going to feel deeply aligned to it, because you're not operating from a place of conscious of consciousness at the end of the day. It's like, here's a good analogy. I'm kind of like getting tripped up on this, but so as a concept, okay, it's kind of a loose analogy. You go to university, you enter into a law program, let's just say, or doctor, or whatever, could be anything. But that requires a substantial amount of commitment and time in order for you to be able to even begin to practice the work. And so you go through this because you thought from when you were young that you really wanted the thing, and then you did everything that you thought was in accordance with that desire. But, you know, reflecting on it as a future you, not really being clear whether that desire was yours or someone else's, or there's expectations of you doing this kind of work versus another, and it may have felt right at the time, but not deeply. And you get through university, you start your work, only to realize that you've made a fucking terrible mistake, and you've given up all this time, all the potential what if scenarios, all for nothing, and basically being in a place where you have to start over, which is very common, and also, you know, without any guarantees of any capacity to make money, if this was a big factor as well. You know, things are constantly changing. And so there's two things there. Of course, it's totally reasonable for you to want something when you're younger, and then for that to evolve over time and change. But understanding that there's a big difference between the pressure of society, family, expectations of other people, and how that is ingrained in all of us as young people when we're young, and the impact that that has on our life. So if you're grounding yourself in core values, unshakable truths about you, how you want to live, your character, how you show up when no one's watching, as well as when you're in a group of people, and that consistency over time with subtle adaptations, but truly never really rocking the boat. It's like, in this most extreme example, going from, you know, in a crazy example would be like, you know, love is a core value, and then all of a sudden flipping the script and being like, hate is a core value. You know, like, you don't really want to be starting down that path. It needs to be work that you develop into with subtle changes, modifying definitions of what the similar words are that you're using to describe the essence of those values. And within that becomes a system for operating in a daily and weekly, monthly, yearly existence that gives space to you to change and adapt and evolve over time. And without that basis, you're really spinning your wheels, not really fully understanding what you want and where you're going. And after resetting for however many years it takes and doing the work and really being honest with yourself about what you want, what you are aspiring to be as a contributor to society, and knowing this and having clarity, I feel as though it's okay to rock the boat a little bit, to shake things up, to reaffirm the work that you've done. And this takes years. It's not an overnight thing. It's not something that you're just kind of winging, because you're going to end up in that position where it's 8 years of medical school and you realize, oh fuck, I'm not really into this thing. And all that time, all the resources, the effort, the sleepless nights, the, whatever, the hundreds of Adderall pills snorted because it was the only coping mechanism that you had for staying up late to handle the course load and, all of that. Sorry, I got a kind of situation here with my shoe. And that's kind of where I feel like I am to a certain degree, is that shake-up period. And, growth is a never-ending journey. I mean, real powerful change takes time, and you really never, hopefully, get to the destination, because it kind of ends when you die. And the journey, it's all about the fucking journey. Being in the present moment as much as possible, not letting go of your identity throughout your experience. And oh wow, there's people down there. I never see people down here. And holding on to the things that are most significant in your life and not letting go of those things. Now, it's just like work and vacation. I think for a lot of people who are not actively practicing living in the present moment tend to go through this cycle. They are working, they plan their vacation, then the week leading up to the vacation, they're thinking to themselves about how great the vacation's gonna be. I can't wait to, enjoy the beach, pina colada, sitting in the pool. And they're physically at work, but their mind and mental experience they're already on that beach. They're chilling out. They're in Mexico. They're in, whatever, India, doing the thing. They're like in it. They feel it. They taste it. They're there. And then fast forward a week later, they're actually in that thing. They were dreaming a week ago, and then they got there. And they're physically in the water. They have that pina colada in hand, looking out at the sunset, enjoying. But mentally, they're back home. They're back at work, thinking of all the shit they have to do. And, oh man, did I send that TPS report into Bob Lumbar? Then they get back to work. And then they're like dreaming again of their time in, let's just say, Mexico, whatever, thinking about all the things they did, maybe even going so far as to look at images and videos on their phone, and physically they're back at work, but mentally they're back at the vacation. And it's kind of all fucked up, because the moment that they had to be on vacation was used mentally for essentially triggering anxiety for the things that are in the future that were not really affecting them at all. They can't deal with any work-related problems because they're on vacation, and it's like you're not doing work shit on vacation, or at least you shouldn't be, because then you're not on vacation, you're working. And that's fine if you have a different lifestyle and whatever, but I'm kind of just using this as an analogy for more traditional, like 9 to 5 or whatever it is, where you're going into the office, you got a bunch of shit, and then you leave and check out, and then you're done. So getting to a place where we're leveraging the tools and systems to enable us to be more present, to be more connected in the moment that we have, because this is all we have. This is all you ever have, is what is literally in front of you. Whether it's a fucking screen on your phone, you may not be present, but physically you're doing the thing. So my point is that after this investment in yourself, to being able to ground your ideas and live from your core values, is really understanding that, like with training at the gym or with any kind of practice of a technical skill, it's less about the work that is done at every session and more about the compounding effect that multiple sessions have over time. So certainly you can weigh yourself every single day, 4 times a day, you get the data points, and most likely your weight isn't fluctuating so much. I mean, it can, but those data sets don't really serve you until you have like 3 months worth of data to then plot on a graph and say, I can clearly see a trend here over time. And that's the key, that's the magic of it all. It's to really leverage this idea that what you have in front of you is the most important thing, and nothing else really matters. I mean, that's like an overly simplistic way of saying it, but it's true, and you know it's true. And then that one night of partying that took you 2 days, that's like a blip in time. And you know, if you're an absolute psycho and you want your 4,000 weeks of time, which is the average in general of how much, you know, people have to live, and you're like, wow, 2 days out of 4,000 weeks and this and that. Certainly there's the extreme version of that, and if you're going through some shit, you need to fucking just do a hard reset, you know? It's like, start over, lock it out, block out everything, and start fresh. But once you've done the work, once you've gotten to a place where you're rolling, things are happening, you're living from your core values, you know who you are, you're grounded, you are not choosing things that are not serving you 99% of the time, but then there's a part of you that wants to cut loose every once in a while. And part of understanding and operating from your core values is that you then begin to understand the costs associated with those choices. And then it's a choice that you make, and you have to own that choice. You can't live in regret at that point, because this idea of regret has been redacted from your vocabulary. The only regret you should have is in the moment before things start, not starting, not taking action. Those are the worst, because it's like, what could have been, what should have been, the risk. People are so terrified of risk, understandably, because so many social signals, family signals, taking big risk is something that is essentially a learned skill, or is a skill that has been developed over time with smaller risk, getting reward, losing the thing that you thought you want, that you were risking. You know, I mean, everybody has a different tolerance for it. And when you're operating from a place of core values, risk becomes less of the traditional concept of risk and more about understanding that you're laying out your path for yourself without being manipulated by the things that truly do not matter. that's a big one, because there's so much input that we have to fight with every day. Social, in your face, billboards, movies, songs. I mean, the culture as a whole is so incessant. And if you live in a city, in a large city, you know it, you feel it. It's like this omnipresent energy force that you're literally going to war with every day. And if you, well, you obviously are on social media because you're watching this, and you know, the advertising, the people preaching to you, trying to, you know, have you buy things or do things, and some of it is very, very advantageous. I mean, obviously, but there's a whole confusing ecosystem of information that is constantly ringing in your head, whether you're acknowledging it or not. It's just like the advertising effect is extremely powerful, and everyone is susceptible. And even though, and especially those people who think they're not susceptible, they're the most susceptible, because they're challenging ego in that state of mind. And latching on to things that don't serve you in the long term are destructive. They erode the fabric of all of the work that you have done up until that point. You need to zip yourself up every day, protect yourself from the outside world, and use discernment at every level in life. So all this to say, there are moments that are going to derail all of the progress and the momentum that you've made, but they're blips in time relative to the totality of your journey. And so taking advantage of opportunities with spontaneity is one of the coolest things that we humans can do, because it just taps into the sense of freedom and greatness that we have available to all of us. And how we choose to leverage that is our own unique path, how things tend to serve us or not. I know from experience that sleep for me is one of the most top priority things, if not the most priority in my life. You know, obviously, like, we're not talking about family and people and so forth. I'm saying how I most effectively can charge up my mind and my body to be able to perform the things that I'm choosing on a daily basis requires me to be disciplined and get to sleep. Because when I don't sleep, shit's just not working properly. You can't train as well, you don't feel as good because you don't push as hard, and that is directly correlated to feeling good. And if you don't push as hard, then your mind starts to do funny things because you haven't beat it out of you. And there's a natural calm that happens after training, especially hard, whatever it is, cardio, swimming, walking, just doing anything, getting your heart rate activated and just fucking blood flow. Oh, wow, look at this. This is super cool. Let me adjust this here. It's crazy, a little jellyfish. I don't think I wonder if that's dead. I don't know. I wonder how long. Do they have to be in water? I don't know. Maybe, hey, Tiga, get out of there. I wonder if it stings. Do all jellyfish sting? Do they all have toxins in their tentacles? Maybe you know. I don't know. Sorry, got distracted. Flow state. You know? Just gotta go with it sometimes. Well, I'm gonna pause this recording and take a quick picture. I'll be back with you. All right, we're back. Sorry, it's annoying, less for you because this is like a blip, but I have to pause my recording to take a picture because I realize the quality of the screen still is not as good as taking a picture with the camera for the YouTube thumbnail, and just technical bullshit. I'm going to shift gears a little bit and talk about the growth blueprint, what we've been doing with the community, the course material. I spoke a little bit about core values, this being foundational to everything. The first course in the growth blueprint is vitality. Without energy, without clarity of mind, it's really impossible to accomplish anything. Even if you think you're doing well, tapping into vitality ensures that you're getting adequate sleep, recovery, very important. Just like taking adequate time in between your sets if you're training at the gym, or if you're training in like the Norwegian 4x4, for example. That rest period is so important. That's not wasted time. That's you reclaiming your power in order for you to be able to perform at your best. Nutrition, proper training technique, whatever that happens to be for you, whether you're doing more functional training, traditional bodybuilding, cardiovascular, hybrid training, which is my sweet spot personally that I love. Being dynamic in what you choose to do to be able to amplify your passions in life, in addition to having your brain and body being connected in a way that propels and amplifies the work that you're looking to do and accomplish. You need vitality, you need strength and power. You need to be well rested in order for your brain to properly function and to support the things that you want to do. Without that, it's a fucking uphill battle. And this whole like, I'll sleep when I'm dead, 18-year-old. Listen, I'm 40. How old am I? I'm turning 42 I'm turning 41. Be 41 April 30th in a few days. And I can tell you, I need sleep. If I don't get sleep, nothing works, which was a big consideration in whether or not to go to this party and do the whole thing that's coming up. That was yesterday, actually, the time of this publishing. And understanding the costs associated with that. So vitality is foundational. Without it, everything's more difficult. And it's just not worth it. You might as well just give up, to be, frank about it. Once you have a more once you become more educated in the importance of vitality and the benefits that it has and what the output of being tapped into vitality, I feel is the most minimal thing that you should take on as it relates to personal development. And then everything else on top is, of course, work, but investing in yourself and your well-being first is the most important thing, because any work that you do on top of that is going to be a little fuzzy and not as clear, not as defined as it really should be in order to propel you forward in the way that you're seeking. And real change really comes from that place of mental focus and clarity, because then it allows you to do the deeper work in a way that's more honest with yourself and not like aspirational, let's say, with a clear reflection of where you are currently in your life, and then the changes that you see are most in alignment with where you are and where you want to go, right? Closing the gap. That's one thing that we look to accomplish as efficiently as possible for the people I work with, is to how to close the gap from where they are to where they want to be. You need to have the bandwidth to be able to do that work. You need to have the bandwidth to be able to show up to work and do all of the things that are required of you on a daily basis to function. And taking time out of your day to charge your mind, your body, your soul with energy and raw power is the thing that will propel you forward, even if you don't do anything else. Because vitality is not just about training, it's about a holistic approach to understanding what that means. And that's rest and recovery as like being the most important. That's why sleep is the thing that I prioritize more than anything, more than nutrition, more than training, more than anything. I'm not perfect at it. I just try to prioritize it as much as I can, knowing that that is going to fuel every other aspect of the segment of vitality, or the other elements of that, of what it means to tap into vitality. And anybody that's interested in personal development is inundated with information about vitality and fucking protein and creatine and supplementation and all this shit and sleep, and it's like bleh, all the fucking everything. It's just like too much, but it's also the thing that will set you free. And there's a reason why people talk about it ad nauseum. I mean, it's fucking insane, honestly. But there's truth to that volume of information, okay? It's not just a bunch of like fucking, I don't know. What that's crazy. It just popped into my head about like some more advertising stuff, like people telling you to eat cereal, sugar cereal in the morning. It's like my kids eat cereal. They eat like Cheerios every once in a while, or cornflakes, the equivalent brand, whatever. But I don't like buying it, and it's only after they harass me. And it's like, maybe once a month or something. And I'm really trying to drive the point home that they should start their day with protein and fat. And if they want, have some fruit. But refined carbohydrates is the first fucking thing you do. It's just like it kills any vibe that you have going. And if you've been doing it incessantly for years, you're kind of just like oblivious to the innate power you have by shifting something as subtle but very important as that. Just some information that you're going to learn in the Growth Blueprint in the Vitality course. Understanding how the actions that we take are either serving you or not, and then being conscious about it, using that as a vehicle for change is really a powerful mental and physical state to be in, and you feel unstoppable because you're in alignment. You're tapping into this idea, this feeling of flow. You do things that are in alignment with achieving your goals in the long term. And we started this podcast about dipping out of that and derailing it a little bit. And that's true, and that's part of reaffirming positions that are there to serve you versus those that are there to distract you. So yesterday I was meeting with a client, training. I was feeling particularly dialed in, like everything was just so clear. I had been sleeping so well for 4 days, training hard as fuck, really slowing down each rep, milking time under tension, exerting myself, recovering, eating well, connecting with my children and my wife. She's traveling now, but on FaceTime. And then I show up to the session and it was like, after all the, hey, how you doing, all that kind of stuff, I was like, so something that's interesting that I believe is in all of us is that when you're feeling that good, really good, and it's like it's ephemeral, it's just like where all of the compounds are in sync in your body, and it's like, just is such a good state. If you could bottle that and pill it, you could be really quite wealthy. So I said to him, I was like, you described that feeling as like, yeah, I love it. That's what we all aspire to feel every day. And you ebb and flow, but it's ephemeral only because recovery plays such a large part into it, and stress and so many factors, social connections and financial ones, and what you're holding on to, what you're letting go in your mind. It was just like one of those moments, and I'm like, my mind was like, you feel so good, and I was like gearing up to go to this party and stuff. And I'm like, maybe I'll have a drink tonight, a couple drinks, tequila, go out and buy a bottle of tequila. And then like immediately I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? What the fucking shit? You could not feel any better. And then all of a sudden, the little devil inside of you is just like, what will make you feel even better is like a little drink, or maybe get a little ice cream, or I don't know, whatever the fucking thing is. It doesn't really matter, but it's the thing that's gonna take you out of that current state. I did not end up doing that because it was just like a moment, and it was this kind of thought exercise of, wow, you're really constantly battling all of these things all the time. You feel so good, you're on this fucking high. It's like basically a pharmaceutical compound that is within you that has been fully flushed out in the way that it's making you feel. And then all of a sudden your mind is like, oh, well, why don't you go and hang out and do this and not do that and whatever. And it's like retreating into comfort. And I've been at this for so long, and I still have those moments where you're just like, oh, a little drink, a little that. But then knowing myself, it's never just like, a little bit. I mean, it can be, of course, but not when you're feeling that good, because you have like 1 or 2 drinks, and then pretty soon you have like 4 drinks, and you're fucking drunk. And then that's gonna fuck your sleep, and then the next day you're gonna be maybe a little hungover, and then you're not gonna push as hard at the gym, and it's like you're starting from zero all over again. I was just like, wow. And I have my shit pretty much under control with everything, and yet it still happened. It was like the old me calling back from feeling the power of the new me, the present me was feeling and trying to leverage and distract. I was like, no, fucking fuck you. So we had a good laugh about it because, or here's another analogy, right? It's the same thing, different context. Maybe you used to party a lot, hard, go out for a couple of days, then you come back, sleep it off, you wake up, you're like totally fucked. And then you wake up just like death, right? Swearing off all alcohol, drugs, going out. It takes you like a week to recover. And when you're slowly coming out of it for the last moment, you're like, oh, I feel pretty good. What's going on? What's going on at the club tonight? Little dancing, little DJ action, little vibing. Wait a second, didn't we just swear off all this shit a week ago? But now because you're feeling good, you're gonna go back and literally poison yourself and quote unquote have a good time? It's crazy. But that pattern of behavior, if you continue to do that over years, does not serve you. Every once in a while, fuck it. You know, you gotta live a little. You're not a robot. But if you have any kind of challenges with substance abuse problems or need that strict rigidity in your life, then obviously dipping out of your system is not going to serve you in the short term or the long term. And it's about understanding your balance, your inner balance, so that you can always be making decisions that serve your interests. Not just your interests in the present moment, but long-term interests. The interests that you can see yourself settling into 20 years from now. That feeling that you're after takes work to sustain. I think I'm lost. It's hard to see how steep this is. It's pretty crazy. I think we're gonna go this way. Oh, I just found the path. It's not really a path per se, it's more of like an eroded line that you have to follow. Oh. Man, it's so nice to be back down here. Living in an environment that is constantly rainy and cloudy. Wow. I did it for years, and I'm very grateful that I get to choose not to anymore. Oh man. I do appreciate how much rain we've got and all this dense green coming to life. All right. Oh, it smells like weed. I'd love to know, if you care to share, where you live, what's going on in your life, what's alive in you. If you're open to sharing that in the comments, asking questions, I'm really keen to get a deeper understanding of how better to serve you, what to talk about, and connect with people as deeply as possible. Whew. Holding space for people in our school community is very powerful, and we're here to uplift each other by clear and authentic communication, not lying to ourselves about reality, like where we are in our journey, how we can support each other in giving space to other people and understanding where they are in their journey, and how with all of this there's insight and wisdom that you have from your experience in life that is beneficial to share with other people. Normalizing this kind of discourse is only upside. It creates space for people to feel comfortable that the words they're expressing are being received, and whether you take action on it, whether you find it to be not a benefit to you, you still can provide space for them to share and express themselves, just as you would want that for them listening to you. You may realize some things about yourself after listening to what other people say. I mean, really listening, not already preparing about something that you were going to say, or not really listening and then having something ready to say. It's like rapid fire fucking social roulette, or what is it called? Russian roulette. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but whatever. And just like anything, the more you do it, the more you show up with courage and vulnerability, but at the same time not being a pushover, holding your ground, and not arguing with people, because that is just like a total fucking waste of time. Kind of like reading the news or mindless entertainment that is just an incredible distraction, ripping out every single cell in your body from where and what it should be doing. I'm not saying that the news or information isn't important. Yes. I'm simply suggesting in that context that 24-hour news is not important unless there's imminent danger, and you'll most likely know about it because it's fucking hard to escape unless you live in the middle of nowhere and you don't really speak to anybody. But shifting your consumption of information to long form, where it's more about the monthly shifts than the 30-second shifts. And for the most part, I mean, none of it is affecting you. And if it does, then I'd like to know about it. When the last time something that you watched or read about directly affected you that wasn't imminent danger. You know, like politics. Most of that is just toxic nonsense. Doesn't serve you, doesn't help you, doesn't protect you. It just, oh, Tiga, the road is up here, buddy. Tiga. Let's see if we can spot his collar that we lost the other day. Hold on, buddy. Stay. Hey. Oh, yeah, I like that. Clean. Oh, man. All right, we have the giant walk up the hill. It's kind of hard to see the incline. Hey, buddy, hold on. What's all this shit on you? Hold on. Oh, little flowers, okay. So, here's my 2 cents. I guess we've had a pretty good conversation here. Vitality is the magic pill that makes everything okay. It's not just about movement, it's about recovery, sleep, nutrition, connecting with people on a deep level, removing toxic relationships, closing the loop on patterns that are self-destructive and not enabling your greatness. Second thing, which in many ways ties into mental health in terms of a practical, actionable strategy you can implement today, right now. Remove all the news apps, all of them. And if you have notifications going on for news, that, my friend, is like a serious drinking problem gone off the rails for like fucking years. You should have no notifications on your phone other than communication only. Like, that's just crazy. Don't be an insane person. So, redefine what it means for you to absorb information. Consider shifting from a 24-hour cycle to a month cycle. Try it for 3 months. You can always go back. It's like resetting that dopamine fucking casino in your brain. And obviously this is applicable to many other things, but don't bite off more than you can chew. Start with the news. If you have notifications turned on for social media, please consider turning those off. You're gonna feel deep resistance at first, especially if this has been your basis of operation for a while. It's gonna not feel great, but that's where growth begins. When it starts to not feel great, you know you're making progress. If it feels good, then most likely you're dipping into old patterns, familiar patterns. Like that voice in my head yesterday evening, talking to my client about how good I was feeling. And then the first thing that came to mind was like, oh, maybe I'll go get a little tequila. And then feel like shit. Now, I don't have a challenge with alcohol. I could have, and it would have been fine, but you know, I have other priorities. I just want to tap into a more profound exploration of what those can do for me. And that's what's serving me in this moment. I'm not suggesting that this is right for you or that this is something you should even do. I'm leveraging the realities of my life, applying the knowledge and wisdom that I've amassed over 42 years on earth and 10 years dedicated to personal development, and knowing that in large, we are all the same. We operate more or less the same as human beings. And systems, when properly grounded and leveraged, unstoppable. Clarity, presence, power, vitality, direction. It feels so good. So not to live into that is a choice that may serve you in the short term and then continue your path of excellence, or it may derail everything that you've built and require you to start over. Either way, it's all part of growth. There's no denying that we're moving forward, whether you like it or not. Use the link in the video description to join the Growth Blueprint community. At the time of this recording, it's free for life right now before we launch officially. I love you guys. Thanks for dropping in. See you next time.